Umpa lumpa.
I preferred Gene Wilder to Johnny Depp.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, what would you do, boys, if we'd got the golden ticket though? Imagine, like, would we say, "Oh, Gene, no, not for us," or would we go, "We want the new"? Who's the new guy? Who's the new actor who plays him?
Oh, who's the newest one?
Oh, the new one. Oh, wow. Okay.
I have no idea.
It's got to be Gene, though, hasn't it? You'd be like
Gene Wilder.
It's got to be
it's
Gene.
probably Johnny Depp in it or something crazy like that.
No, there's a new one.
A new Willie. Wow.
New Willie.
Timothy Chalamet.
Oh, him.
I think that's the one that got absolutely panned, didn't
He sounds like he should be a professional dancer on Strictly Come Dancing, doesn't he, with a name like that? Timothy Chalamet doing the foxtrot or something like that. Tonight, Timothy Chalamet is doing...
He dances the Argentinian tango.
The Argentinian tango.
Absolutely fabulous. He scored 10 out of 10.
I'd rather see like a lot of Oompa Loompas doing the dance, wouldn't you? On it, that'd be hilarious, wouldn't it? On Strictly, imagine what your dance partners were Oompa Loompas.
Choreographer. That would be your live reaction, would it, Vasa?
I was just checking the tabloids.
Next to take to the dance floor, it's the Oompa Loompas.
Oh, welcome in.
The Oompa Loompas versus the Minions.
I just got a feeling this Oompa Loompa reference is going to stick with us tonight. Do you know? I don't know why
I don't
we've
know
gone down
where
that
it's festered. Like, it's just arisen.
They're mischievous, aren't they, Oompa Loompas? We're mischievous. So
Mischievous.
Mischievous. Oh, yeah, very good, Milo. Very good Halloween. Like that. Mischievous. We're going to go Inkay then. Very Halloween-esque.
Inkay, the spookiest squid.
Spookiest squid.
I think Inkay should have had, like, the classic ghost kind of white sheet over it as a costume.
Yeah. Inkay wearing a spooky sheet.
A spooky bed sheet.
Or they're trying to say, Inkay wearing a mischievous sheet.
Mischievous sheet.
Mischievous.
Barside, that's an unfortunate link he's made in the chat.
Inkay wearing KK.
Let's not go down there. Well, before we get going, speaking of K, have you noticed, Ian, Mark is inadvertently repping the Lured Up podcast on his shirt?
Yeah, I see. At first, I thought there was a microphone there, but yeah, it just says Ken.
It just says
why
Ken
are
in
you
big
advertising
block
Ken?
text.
Right, because I'm his biggest fan. I'm Ken's biggest fan. I want to make a podcasting great again. Ken. It's actually Kendall, but it just like it's Kendall calling a music festival. But I think the font is probably the right size, I'd say.
Because from where we're sat,
All we can see is just Ken.
You just see Ken right at the bottom of Mark's screen, a huge text.
Yeah, it's a bit too bold, isn't it? You know, I can't imagine that anyone would want their name that big on their own T-shirt.
So he's just put hashtag Ken.
Hashtag Ken. On this week's show, a Gigantamax controversy. Did we even attempt a Gigantamax? And we have some other stuff featured in the show as well. Welcome in, everybody, to 195 from the Incensed Podcast. And the dynamic trio is here with Vasa, Masterful 27, and myself, PoGoMiloUK, here to really unpack the latest thing that dropped in Pokemon Go and some other stuff along the way. Gentlemen, how are you doing this fine Tuesday evening?
Yeah, I can't get this song out of my head that we was talking about before the show.
Don't worry.
Gigantamax! Is that the perfect puzzle?
It won't stop.
Isn't that how we all look versus a Gigantamax? We're like Oompa Loompas.
Yeah, we
trying
are
to
like
punch it.
Oompa Loompas.
Stood around this giant Gigantamax boss.
Absolutely.
But yeah, the weekend was definitely challenging. I'm okay, ready to get into the show, because it's going to be an interesting one, isn't it, this week, I think, boys?
I think so, Ian. I think so. I don't want to answer your question immediately from the off the bat there, Milo, but I'm not going to be using the word yes too much tonight. But
Unless it's the Oompa Loompa song.
do you know what, though? It's going to be fun tonight. I am actually looking forward to this one. And do you know what? We usually get excited when there's new news being dropped, but actually something to properly deep dive into and chat about. I think this is going to be a fun one. But yeah, going back to what you asked about, really good, thank you, mate. Yeah, another week has passed since we spoke to our lovely listeners last time around. I can't believe where time is going.
Well, it'll soon be Christmas, won't it?
Yeah, it will be.
As we said, it'll be episode 200 even sooner.
It will. It really will. And all that in the next 5 weeks. But Whitfield, you've just got back from your little vacay, so how are you?
I am missing Italy.
Oh, don't say
It's
that.
only a couple of miles away from you.
Yeah,
and
he's
just take a
close
trip
by.
over there. Yeah, lots of good food, beautiful scenery, very, very lovely. 4 days?
Did you get a
or so.
ragu?
A ragu? No, I didn't. I had many different pizzas and different pasta bits and pieces, and some local Italian hopped water, shall we say?
Hot water. We've got that in the UK.
Hopped.
You don't need to go to Italy for hot water, Milo. That's one thing we do
Depends.
pride ourselves on
It
over
depends
here.
if my boiler
In
breaks.
the UK, we have something that they don't really have in America. It's called kettles, where you can
Yes.
get hot water.
That always freaks me out when
Yeah.
people are like, "What's a kettle?" What do you mean you don't know what a kettle is?
Is it all on a saucer or is it a pot on the...
I've seen
On the hob, is
Americans making a cup of tea using a microwave.
Yeah, I've seen that. It's wrong. So Sue's got a kettle anyway.
Kettles in microwaves? Jesus.
Microwave water to make it hot.
Oh.
I saw a YouTube video and there's a guy who was really like, "Oh, look at what they've got in the UK. They've got these things that boil water." Like, yeah, it's a kettle.
It does surprise me considering Amazon exists. Anyway, that is very much not the topic of
We love you,
195. No kettles in offices. There you go. Is that a rule? No kettles allowed, or they just don't have them?
It says
Who knows?
microwaves for tea in offices.
There you go. Well, for us as Brits, that's an abomination. But moving into the show, as you guys have alluded, it's going to be a little bit of a different one for this week because there isn't really any news. So it's one big, juicy discussion. We're going to be diving onto socials, getting people's feedback, and talking extensively between the three of us. It's going to be a good one. But before all of that, you have to.
Pop your incenses, champions. Let's go.
And of course, there are a plethora of ways you can do that with Daily Adventure Incense and Roar of Time. If you have the candies, you can use a regular
think
incense.
they do
You
after
can
the
put
weekend.
down. I've burnt all of mine. It was bad. But Moongeist Beam or Sunsteel Strike, if they are your bag, pop down an incense and drop a download to this show. Let us know if you get something awesome, preferably shiny, while listening to the episode. And if you do so, tag us on X, Threads, or Instagram. You can message us through Campfire, our Campfire community on there. Patreon exclusive Discord. We've got an email contact at incensedpodcast.com and a direct message service via some podcast platforms. And finally, Vasa, the WhatsApp number.
Yeah, can you remember
Which-
it, Whitfield?
I'm going to try and remember it because I didn't write it down. So +44 759 269 5696.
It's good. Well done, Milo. Well
Good
done.
stuff. Only after however long it's actually burnt into my brain.
Yeah, just went to VAR. They was just checking that too was in the right
AAR.
place. But
AAR.
yeah,
AAR, yeah.
AAR now.
Clarify the spelling for me.
And you would have to clarify the spelling on hashtag Shinies of the Week. You must include that in your post, no matter where you share it with us. That would be SHINIES
Clarify spelling.
OFTHEWEEK. So innies of the week,
It
please.
is of the week.
It is of
Milo.
the week.
Innies of the
Belly
week.
buttons.
It is.
Yes. Not exclusively, but if you wish to use that hashtag, go right ahead. I'm sure we'll find it. That's so we can find all of your wonderful catches. If it's shiny, hundo, nundo, just something you want to flex and you had a good time with, let us know. But boys, let's jump into a very, very light discussion about spooky season in Pokemon Go.
Yeah, why not, Milo? And I think
Why
everything's
not?
going to be relatively lighter around the main topic of tonight's show. But no, for our listeners, we are, as we record this, we've started part 2 of the Halloween event. Part 1 is done and dusted, or done and duskled, as what I probably should have said.
Oh, very
But-
good.
So you and Milo, you're getting proper go-cast, aren't you? You two are.
Well, you know, Pokedex entry 195 is actually, don't know what it is, but Milo, help me.
Hang on.
Chris?
It's checking, it's checking.
But the spooky season, part 1 is done and duskled, and I used that joke again. But no, it's good. It was good. we always say that part 1 is the lead up to part 2. As we talk now, the costume Pokemon that were locked behind tickets.
Quagsire.
And now, Quagsire. Tonight's episode is brought to you by Quagsire.
You're going to do your impression from
Moving on swiftly.
from Family Guy.
Yeah. Giggity.
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 Who else but Quagsire?
Hey, well done, Milo. But yeah,
Well, your T-shirt gives it all away, Mark. It says Ken.
Giggity. I'm going to just start with how I felt with part 1. And, I was just saying that before we realised this episode shares the number with Quagmire, or Quagsire, or whatever it's flipping called, is the fact that the costume Pokemon are now out and about. So these were locked behind the tickets. So anyone playing the game who bought the tickets, who were lucky to have them gifted to them, they would have had limited checks on the Froakie and the Rowlet with their costumes, but they are now out in the game everywhere, so that's fun. But part 1 really did signify that the first introduction to them. I think for me personally, I think it was all about Zorua. Zorua's still out there in part 2. I think boosted Zorua was very much the chase, and I'm going to just share with you. Boosted, absolutely boosted, and
boosted. It's not been boosted for me, I tell you.
But anywho, I haven't had a lot of time to play part 1, which is just the way of the world. But I did, when the clocks went back on Sunday, take advantage of getting up a little bit earlier and having a very sunny day on Sunday. It was really pleasant. And I was out about 8:30 on a Sunday morning going, do you know what? I'm going to throw myself and play this event for a good couple of hours and see what I can get out of it. Because I really want to get something from it, because I haven't given it any time to really be critical or positive about it, because I haven't given it. So I went out with a plan, and that was to get myself my first shiny Zorua, because I probably checked 50 or 60 of them in the lead time, half casually up till Sunday, and obviously nothing had shined for me. And I did the trick with the XXL Pump Kaboo.
Yeah.
Shiny one on there. Love that. And I got my shiny Zorua, and it was
lovely.
It was a beautiful moment. I think we talk about anyone who plays a game, who plays it just to play the game or plays it to create content around playing the game. Reactions and moments are savoured. And I think when you create content, you are lucky that you can sometimes capture these things. And you've got a visual, remember, that you can actually play it back. For most people, they'll remember certain things that happened in the game. I was crazy when I got it. It was brilliant. There was loads of people out walking their dogs. It was a sunny day. And there's me going mental because I've got a shiny Zorua. And I was like, this is what life's all about. It was such a good moment. It brought me back to love with the game after maybe 2 or 3 weeks where I've not been able to give the game that much time. And I was like, oh, this is so good. This is so good. Played it for about another 5 minutes. Got a shiny Purloin, Ian, which is always good. Which is nice as a dog was running past me. So it made sense a cat would turn up there. The next Zorua check was another shiny. And I was like, oh.
Really? So both?
I got both of them within about, I think it was 2 Zorua checks. It was like one there, one not, one there. And I was like, oh my days. So I evolved the better one, and they're both XXL shinies. Zoruas, love them. Well, one was Zorua and the other's, I still can't pronounce it. Its evolution. It's a bit weird. Zoroark, there we go. And got 2 shinies. Shiny family completed. Tick! Halloween event part 1, a success. And boys, how are your Halloween part 1s?
I've not had anywhere near the success that you have. So, I mean, with it dropping when it did, couldn't really spend an awful lot of time on the game until the weekend. On Saturday, played it for a few hours whilst trying to get people interested in Gigantamax raids, and didn't really get anything to speak of. I mean, it was nice to see more Peko released into the game, and I have managed to get a 98% more Peko.
Nice.
That's pretty much the only thing of any sort of value, shall we say, that I got out of the first part. Because on Sunday, when I was out for the best part of 5 hours, again, trying to get people interested in Gigantamax raids, even dropping my daily adventure incense, Roar of Time in it for the entire time, I must have encountered probably upwards of like 30 or 40 Zorua, probably more than that, to be fair. Because I was deleting them in bulk and not a single shiny. It just does not want to shine for me. Ben, one of the guys that was with me, did get the shiny Zorua, while we were out on the Sunday. But for me, it's been
Not yet.
It's been difficult, and it's getting frustrating. That's why I say I don't necessarily believe this booster is all that. But Mark's obviously proven me wrong. But I genuinely don't know if it's going to happen for me. So I found part 1 quite tedious, quite frustrating. However, I did find it quite funny when the new overlay for Halloween Part 1 broke the game. So we bounced
briefly
back.
said so last week.
So for like a day, we went back to a standard map. But I do love seeing the sort of spooky overlay for Halloween and the encounter screens. They look so good. The game looks great at the moment.
Before Milo jumps in there, Ian, I've got images of you being like a politician on polling week before everyone goes to put their X in the box. You knocking around people's doors around G-Town going, Gigantamax is this something you're interested in?
Not really.
Masterful for the Gigantamax party.
There were a couple of sort of WhatsApp group messages, but again, we'll get into that conversation later. But yeah, the weekend was a tough time, shall we say, in terms of emotion, because we all want the new stuff, and it doesn't always happen. We have to kind of live with that.
Yeah, I have strong memories of last Halloween being in your shoes, Ian, where I chased Zorua as a new shiny release for days, weeks, and trying to get it, and it never happened. This time around, with the supposed shiny boost, Zorua has been much, much nicer in like the first half of part 1, shall we say. So the first 3 days I picked up 3, I think it was,
so
3
I must
shiny
be doing
Zoruas.
something wrong, because I'm encountering
It's all
probably
RNG, dude.
about 10 a day on my way to and from work, and nothing's happening.
The thing is that it took me over 800 checks to get my first one, including all of Halloween last year, and then it happened earlier this year, actually just before April. And then the RNGs come through now, but then from Thursday through to over the weekend, so 4 days, checked possibly 400 Zorua while I was in Italy. Going around, you're on public transport, you can shiny check and everything. I had Zorua standard as my buddy, so you could see Zorua on the map.
I'm actually just encountering my buddy. So
yeah, so I wanted
to
see what it was, but I checked something.
So hold on, Milo. So if you have standard Zorua as your buddy,
yeah, you see the sparkles like normal.
Yeah, it'll be like
a standard on it,
shiny.
Does it go, so you don't have to catch it then. You click on it, it'll go shiny, and you know it's shiny.
Yeah, if you
then.
have the shiny, it will sparkle for you in the encounter
that's always
screen.
been the case. If you've got Zorua as your buddy,
I've got the shiny, so every time I click on it, it goes shiny when I click on it.
Yeah, you need the normal one.
But
you need
a normal one. So if it's shiny, it goes shiny in the encounter.
Yes.
Didn't know that.
It will show as a normal Zorua on the map when you click it, and then if it is a shiny one, it will sparkle like a regular encounter.
Didn't know that.
So there you go. Part 2's going to treat you good, Marky, with that one.
I knew that, but I just like seeing my buddy. I love seeing a little Poipole everywhere because it's so uncommon.
Oh, you got Poipole. Nice. I'd done a few bits and pieces of buddy swapping. So I did the XXL Pump Kaboo to get XXL Zoruas, which I'm still waiting for a showcase on them. Let's just say that. But I had a huge chunk of time where I checked 400, 500 Zorua, no shiny at all. And then as soon as I got back to Ealing, Monday at like midnight, I got a shiny Zorua again. So I've had 4 throughout this event.
Nice.
And I've got spares for you, Vasa. Hopefully that boost does come through for you and keeps going through part 2.
Time's ticking. I mean, this event is only on for a few more days. It's not.
Well, it ends on Sunday, doesn't it?
Yep.
When this episode drops, the episode drops, the event ends. But the rest of part 1, honestly, it didn't really float my boat that much because
I enjoyed seeing Giratina O back. I mean, it wasn't specifically part of the event, but it was there.
It was there, Ian.
Indeed, it was there, very much so. And I enjoyed those raids, but I don't know whether it was because Spiritomb was in win 3 raids tasks. I hated that.
See, that didn't really bother me because I was doing my 5 remotes a day just for Giratina, so that didn't bother me overly.
I'm just not a fan of like win 3 raids. That's a lot. And coupling with that, I wasn't really bothered. Like once I heard more Morpeko was in win 2 raids, I'm like, right, I'll get the Pokédex, and I don't really care if I get any more, honestly. Yeah. But I noticed the raid game just plummeted from where I was. Like there were so few raids around; it was ridiculous. I'd actually quite like to raid some Giratina O, but there weren't any around. So part 1 really just sort of passed me by. The spawns weren't anything spectacular. I enjoyed seeing a couple of other Pokemon there. Like, obviously, the Zorua boost was great. But other than that,
Boost,
you're sort of...
You say?
Well, for me, yes. I just... Purloin, I'm not...
We always said that part 1 really isn't really that great.
That's what I said. It's like, I think I said it when we read it out. It's like, it's the D tier of spookiness. You get Zubat, Spinarak, and a couple of others. Some of them are good shinies, but they're not really the proper cool stuff. And I always like a costume shiny hunt. That's why part 2 is, in my view, so much better. I mean, quickly, boys, part 1 out of 10. Marky, where are you going with it?
I wanted Zorua. The fact I've got 2 makes it a success. I haven't played the game a lot, so probably part 1 has probably made me not feel like I'm missing a lot out of it. And actually, it sounds like there isn't really a lot to miss out from it as a sort of week 1 player. I'll give it a really solid 8 because I've got those 2. I kid you not, guys. I know we joked about it, but like when I got it, I was so happy. I was like, pure. It was that moment. I loved being out in the sun. I was having a great time playing the game. Got it. I was so happy. Really enjoyed it, and that event got me out playing it. So I think it's only because of when I say boosted, it's how many there are out there.
Yeah.
Just go on a little walk that I've got. I must have encountered 40, 50 of them. They're everywhere, but only for that. The shiny Purloin doesn't add anything to it.
Takes away half a point.
It does, and I think, well, that's jokes on what takes away a point is the fact that Spiritomb, even in the ticketed research, was very infrequent. I think there's only 3 encounters in it. And the fact it's locked behind 3 raids. Like, I wasn't raiding heavily.
Yeah.
I've cut back on my raiding now because I had some really expensive months of raiding sort of 6 months ago. I'm quite happy not to raid now. Those are locked behind tasks that I'm inevitably not going to be able to get. So I'm focusing on the Evolve 3 at the moment for part 2. But part 1, 8 out of 10, definitely.
The event looks great. As I've said, touched on earlier, the map looks great. The encounter screens look great. They really do pull out all of the stops. We know Americans love Halloween, and they really do. Certainly with Halloween and the holiday events, they really do pull out all the stops with the game in terms of how it looks. So that is something. Part 1 really, for me, wasn't all that because, yes, in the week I couldn't really spend an awful lot of time on the game. However, I did invest, I would say, a decent amount of time at the weekend and got bugger all for my effort. So for that, I'm going to give it a 6.
I think I'm going to split the two of you and go for a 7. Because the Zorua encounters is a really, really good thing. And the overall aesthetic of Halloween, it never fails to impress, apart from when it breaks the game, like it did this time. But
too many pumpkins.
Too many pumpkins on all the different biomes. But at least that was only for, 1 day? But there were quite a few negatives to do with this part of the event. And there wasn't really enough with Morpeko's release and how it was released to kind of bump it up any higher in my view.
We don't GBL, so it doesn't really...
Yeah, I mean, I haven't even given Aura Wheel a go.
I haven't.
Honestly.
I haven't.
What's GBL?
But one thing I did want to say is both you, Milo, and you, Mark, you both said, boosted spawns, there's loads of Zorro around. There are. I didn't reference that I've seen a ton of them. That's what I'm getting at. I have seen and encountered a ton
not
of them.
dulling down the fact that you've clicked on a lot of them. That's just bad RNG, unfortunately.
Bad RNG. It's awful RNG.
But the spawn rate of them is really solid. Whether that pays off in it being shiny very quickly is a different thing. Ian's probably going to come back next week, part 2, and say, I got 7.
It'd be nice. Don't see it happening, but it'd be nice.
Imagine that, Ian, if every single one you got was not red.
I just want the family. I'm not greedy. I just want 2.
Yeah, do you know, actually, something else, and I'm not going to knock a point off for it, but it annoyed me greatly. When you caught Morpeko for the first time, it came up with a little info thing at the capture.
Yes.
And it said, you've got the ability here. You can tap this button to view, and you press view, and nothing happened. It just disappeared. I'm like, so what the hell was the point of that? I want to see it in hangry mode without having to go and take it into a battle.
Yeah, you've got to battle with it, unfortunately.
Hey, don't worry about it. It's like,
don't worry about it. He's turning into Ken. Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. You don't need a guide for everything in the game. Play around with it. Make it work.
Halloween. Let's see how part 2 plays for all of us in next week's show. But there's a game I wanted to play, but I haven't been creative enough.
Bad Milo.
The Pokédex descriptions, boys. So I'm afraid we're going to something that you guys actually are going to enjoy. Shiny Happy Pokémon.
What? The ducklet.
See, I was really hoping that would have been the jingle tonight, but unfortunately,
It's this.
Shiny happy Pokemon, shiny happy Pokemon. Oh,
goodness me.
hey,
Can we have
do
Lachlan
more
back?
than we don't just do instrumentals. We put words to them. Don't you worry.
Freestyling. That's what we do here. So, Shiny Happy Pokemon, people. This game, it feels like it's been an eternity since it's been part of the podcast, but it's actually one of the more recent additions to the
It
show.
is. And we only played it a few weeks ago.
Indeed.
I thought
That's
that
what I
I
was
guess 3 weeks
hoping to
ago.
avoid. But Shiny Happy Pokemon, I am going to ask either Mark or Ian the colour of the shiny variant of a Pokemon, a specific part of it. They'll get increasingly more difficult as we progress through the game. And
Increasingly.
Increasingly, yeah. not
Hey,
like
we were
Ian.
running long. I needed to make sure that game finished last time, not 2
And you
weeks
did
ago.
it well, Ian.
And
you
I'm
did it well.
expecting this show to run on a little bit as well, so I'm going to keep this fairly brief. But I will have a degree of increasing difficulty with this one. It just may be very steep. If you get it correct, you shall hear a fabulous. And if you get it wrong, you shall hear the opposite. There we go. Like how we've got 50-50. Half farmyard, half game show.
Well, Bullseye's
Anywho.
back at Christmas.
Bum, 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 bum.
Time to dive
Thomas the
into
Tank
the
Engine.
shiny...
Do you like that, Ian? Very good. Name that tune. That could be one of our games
Name
in the
that
future.
tune. I'd be failing miserably at
I
that.
can name that tune in 3. That was
Come
a
on,
proper
Milo.
old...
All
Milo
right.
would have never heard that game.
Milo the Tank Engine comes to town.
Oh my god.
The little engine that could.
Nobody photoshopped my face on the front of Thomas.
Do
Okay.
it.
That could be disastrous.
There's always about Edward the Train. That Edward's got a bit of a weird tendency
Edward?
about it, hasn't it, Ian?
Milo looks a bit like Edward.
He does actually. A bit green, isn't he?
Green. I'm starting to feel like it, so you excuse
Is
me.
it Gordon? Is he the blue one, Ian? Gordon was the big
Gordon
blue
was
one,
the
was he?
big
He was
blue
the
one, yeah.
He was miserable, wasn't he? Gordon was.
Okay, increasing difficulty is
Milo.
what I'm saying here. So, Marky, tell me, what is the colour of kind of the top half of the body, shoulder pads, and lower arms of Shiny Alakazam?
Are they pink?
They very much are pink. Correct. It's the only bit of the Pokemon you would know would be shiny on that one.
Yeah, Abra's a bit rubbish, but yeah.
It is a bit rubbish indeed. Okay. Where do we go next? To the crickets. I am actually going to choose a bug because of that now, Vasa. So, I want you to tell me, what is the colour of the head and body of shiny Ariados, Ian?
Ian's smug face is gone.
And that, I'll give you a little hand, is the evolution of Spinarak.
I know what it is. I just never evolved the shiny one.
Well, that's bit you in the behind now, hasn't it?
Blick.
A what?
Blick.
I'm afraid you're incorrect.
Is
is
it
very much-
blue?
Pink.
Oh. I love it. He was like this guy, yeah, and he went, there's that moment you just see his face go,
Oh no.
that was like
Oh, no.
me. That was like me on Chasing the Tail trying to think of Pokemon begin with P. And I was going,
It's when he says I'm
Much-
going to start
much
with
longer
varying degrees of
pause.
difficulty, and then he trolls me for 2 weeks ago.
but he could have said, what is the tip on the third leg on the right hand side
Of Ariados.
What colour is that hair?
Marky, what is the colour of the sphere on the top of the head of shiny Spoink?
Or the pearl?
The pearl, and I guess it's like under
Yeah.
eyes.
Is it black?
You are correct. I would say that is black, or a very, very dark grey.
And do you know the sad thing about Spoink? If it stops bouncing, its heart stops pumping and it dies.
Oh my god, that is tragic.
It's quite morbid. That could have been.
Pokemon actually die?
It probably goes to sleep for a long time, Ian.
It starts to hibernate
Yeah,
indefinitely. Okay, right. To stay hopefully in the game, because I'm thinking a first to 3 if we can on this
Okay.
one. So, Ian, what colour are the fins and parts of the pattern on the body of shiny Relicanth? And I know you have this shiny.
Pink.
Oh!
I don't know.
Ian's got pink on the brain.
Marky, tell me the colour of Shiny Field. This is one of our least favourite Pokemon in existence.
Ooh.
Can you tell me the colour of the umbilical cord on the head of Shiny Mushana?
Ooh.
Oh, I want to say it's a cyan blue colour.
Part of it is a cyan blue.
It's yellow,
colour,
isn't it?
but it's purple.
Oh, okay, that's all right. I got it completely wrong.
But there is cyan blue featured on there.
There is. And pink as well. Yeah.
Hideous, repulsive mon. Vasa, I expect you to get this one because you have a Shundo of it.
Don't. I've got no idea with Chinchou.
No, he's on about the other one that Zoe did a raid for you on. We know Milo.
No. The one I gave you. So, I want you to tell me what colour are the eyes on Shiny Chandelure.
Oh, God.
He's got a Schlundo on.
Yeah, I gave him a Schlundo on Com Day.
Pink?
You are correct.
Oh, Milo, you engineered that sunshine. I know your game. You were shiny and pink.
Well, you could still win it, Mark. You would get one more right.
Yes, exactly.
I love the fact, though, that... have you level 50'd it? Oh, you would have done Ian, wouldn't you? Because it was Com Day, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was lucky as well, so he should have.
Well, there's a lot of Pokemon to pick from. So
that's the problem.
You have to find a difficult one. Remember that. You can just...
Why not?
We did say increasing levels of difficulty. I think they've been difficult all the way through for me. Anyway.
They are for you, Ian.
My game crashed. So the Pokédex
I should have got the
I know which one I'm going to pick.
Go on then.
While it loads in, Marky, I want you to tell me what is the colour of the bottom half of the body of Shiny Bergmite.
You're not. Oh, that's like yellow. Wee yellow.
Like wee yellow. Yeah.
Wee yellow.
It is yellow and correct. Is Ian venting his frustration?
No, that's Bartle being the Game Lord for next week because he's got.
I've not been the Game Lord for a long time.
That's very true. Marky boy taking the dub there. 3 points to Vassal 1. Congratulations, winning your own game because of course you created Shiny Happy Pokémon.
Absolutely.
We'll see what you concoct next week.
Oh, bye.
See you later. So yes, Shiny Happy Pokémon, we do love that game, but something else that we like because it can go in any direction is getting to know you.
Just tell me about you, mate. Just what's going on?
So I tried to go for a Halloween-esque style question with this one. So boys, the question is, if you had to be transformed into something or someone for Halloween, but then you are stuck with being that thing or someone for the next 12 months, what are you choosing to suffer as? I'll throw it over to Ian.
That is a tough one, and full disclosure, I didn't actually look at this question or even the show notes until earlier today, so I've really not...
Full disclosure, the show notes were accidentally emailed in a very weird format.
Yeah, I can tell.
8 and a bit lines of detail.
Yeah, they weren't very neatly... They were neatly put together when I exported. They just didn't go through email very well.
No, you didn't hit the PDF button, did you, Whitfield?
Bad Milo.
I did.
I think if I had to be transformed into something... I mean, does it have to be Halloween related, or could it be anything?
It says Halloween, Ian, doesn't it?
No, it just says if you had to be transformed into something for Halloween. It didn't say
or
something Halloween.
Something or someone. I gave you a little bit more scope. So you could say, like, if you wanted to dress up as something, or if you wanted to impersonate somebody who's kind of like Halloween themed, I guess.
But you have to stay like that for the rest of the year.
Well, for jokes, let's say I would be transformed into a Chucky doll.
Ian, love it.
Because let's face it, for that year I couldn't die.
Positive way of looking at life there, eh? That's good.
That's fantastic. 12 months in the bag.
Yeah. Okay. That's due to lack of preparation. But yes, I would become a Chucky doll.
Okay. And for staying alive for 12 months is your reasoning behind it, is it?
Well, no, it's just Chucky's pretty cool, actually.
Well, Marky, take it away.
I love the idea, of really scary film. I love scary films. I love atmosphericness in films. I don't necessarily want to see it. I want to feel it, and it makes you go, Oh, I don't think we've said this for a long time, actually, because let's face it, we have struggled a bit with the questions and getting to know you. But this is a good question, Milo. This is actually a good question. I initially was going to go for like a bat, because I think bats are pretty cool, fly around at night.
But then they're kind of like rabies or something.
Yeah, but it doesn't impact you. You're the one who can give it to people.
COVID.
You pick your enemies for that year. So people you don't like, you can give them rabies, and then you come back in a year's time, and all your problems have been dealt with. You go, oh well, they've all gone. Brilliant. I can enjoy my life. That's happy days. But no, I'm not going to go down the back because Ian, I love your answer. Because I remember going to the Isle of Wight Festival a few years ago, and on one of the food vendor stores, they had the Chucky doll there. And we pitched our tent near it. I went, oh my god, I don't feel comfortable now. I was like, it was in a shadow with this little thing with a knife, like running around the tent. So I was like, oh my goodness gracious, that's freaking me out.
Calling me short. I mean, it'll work, wouldn't it? Really?
Yeah.
Going even shorter.
So
it's not ginger.
You don't want to be ginger. But you're burning the sun. I'm going to stay down the line of what you've done, Ian, because I almost want to see which franchise has more fans of it.
Oh, you're not going to be Megan, are you?
No, imagine that. No. Listen, it's not as mobile as Chucky, but whenever it came on the screen, it freaked me out. I am a fan of the Saw films, the franchise Saw films.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Love the storyline with Jigsaw in them. So I'm not going to be anything. I'm not going to be Jigsaw because that would be a bit weird.
I can imagine you on a tricycle.
But on tricycle, I would love to be the doll from Saw that rides in and goes and just freak people out for a year. I probably wouldn't last a year because someone would break me with a kick. But
knock your wheels off.
Don't worry, I can bring you back to life.
Yeah, we can hang out together for the year. But I'll be the doll from Saw.
Okay, I like that choice. These are good. These are actually quite good. It just makes me think. I remember a reel where someone dressed up as that doll for Halloween. They had a tricycle. They were doing a clip. He said, "You want to play a game?" And at that moment, the tricycle split in half. They just went flying out of the way. Unfortunate, shall we say? I guess to be a little bit different, because despite having written the question very hurriedly in the airport, I didn't actually think of what on earth I was going to pick either. So I'm in exactly the same boat as you guys. I would pick to dress and be stuck as the Grim Reaper, because you would never have to queue for anything ever again. People just get out your way. You'd be very ominous.
Would it be Death from Bill and Ted, or would it be...
I think of the one from Family Guy, actually.
Death from Family Guy.
Of course it's Family. Everything's Family Guy with Whitfield.
Everything reference Family Guy for months.
Giggity.
Actually, earlier in the show. That was you guys, not me, though. Yeah, possibly the Grim Reaper from Family Guy. That'll be very funny.
So you're funny. I remember that Simpsons episode as well, where Homer becomes the Grim Reaper. That's jokes. I remember
maybe
that.
I've got some homework to do.
Homer work.
Homework.
Very good, Ian.
Jinx.
Fantastic.
Jinx.
But I think there's three good choices there. It'd be very interesting to see what happens over socials with our amazing listeners and actually what they come up with. Thanks, boys, for that. But we've waited long enough. I think the listeners have waited long enough. It's the scorching hot topic of now. Ian, the words Giganta and Max, take it away.
Well, that segue kind of completely cut out what I was going to segue into it with. But yes, it's time to talk about the big, gigantic elephant in the room. Yes, last weekend we were introduced in Pokemon GO to Gigantamax, Venusaur, Charizard, and Blastoise. And
will we?
I would say this was a little bit of a fail on a lot of fronts. And there was a huge backlash about the way this was introduced. So let's just spend, well, we're already running at about 40 minutes. Let's just spend the next sort of 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes talking about Gigantamax.
I guess the thing we can start with is our own personal experience before diving into the meat and potatoes of socials, because I am very well aware that lots of people did give this a go, but there will be a metric ton of players who are probably in the same boat as all three of us from a very brief discussion we had before recording. I was unable to give any of these a go. I will say the immediate feeling wasn't necessarily FOMO, because I looked at social posts and you see reports of lobbies of 40, which is the maximum, 40 people or 30 people failing repeatedly. And you're like, if I don't even have a chance, there's no way to even have FOMO, because you don't have an opportunity to miss out on doing it in a way. You're sort of like, well, I have no opportunity at all, so out the window it goes. I did at the time have a look at the community in Genoa, and there was an event posted on Campfire, and it said from 3 to 5 p.m. local time. It didn't unfortunately match up with the timing of what me and everyone was doing on that trip, but they only cobbled together 20 people. And from looking at what they said, they were able to give 3 battles a go with little to no success and then called it early. So even if we had attended, probably wouldn't have gone down very well. And that seems to be a recurring theme for those who did give it a bash.
Yep.
So my experience was non-existent, really. I could only view as an outsider. Vasa, what about you up in the north?
Well, the thing is, you hit the nail on the head, because a lot of people were curious about Gigantamax. They'd checked socials, they'd checked YouTube, they'd seen what Zoe and the people over in APAC had done. And straight away, a lot of my local community were of the opinion, like, there's no point even trying this. What is the point in us going out and trying to do this when it's just going to be a waste of time? So there was a very negative feeling towards it, because I think everybody understands that Gigantamax Pokemon, these battles are meant to be tough. They are. I mean, they're tier 6, they're 6-star battles. So nobody expects them to be easy. But when you have lobbies of 20, 30, 40 people battling and losing, then where is the motivation for people to go and essentially waste hours of their day for something that, one, they might not complete, and two, if they did, the catch rate was such that they had a very high chance of it fleeing anyway, causing even more frustration.
I didn't even see that. Was that a thing? So was the catch rate really bad?
It wasn't really bad, but the flee rate did seem higher than normal, because you were only getting very few balls, and then of course you could buy the extra balls.
That's sort of almost reminiscent of encountering a legendary from a mega legendary raid.
Yeah,
but we've kind of got used to
We'll
that.
talk about it in a second when we get onto the sort of what Niantic have done going forwards. But even Niantic did address the fact that they were fleeing more than they maybe would have liked.
They should have been.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I did go out. I did try to do the Gigantamax raids, and we were talking before the show. The best I could muster was, there was about 7 people that would actually give it a go. And for the best part of, well, certainly the Sunday afternoon, the Saturday was a bit more challenging. But so for the best part of Saturday afternoon, it turned into essentially a daily adventure incense grind, because the numbers weren't there. People were feeding back on the local WhatsApp. Oh, yeah, I can make this one. So I can't make that one. I can make this one. I can't make that one. So nobody could kind of synchronize times. And even if they had, we still wouldn't have got the 20 to 25 people that we would really have needed to start, because it's very much a domino effect with these Gigantamax. Once you've got 1 or 2, it makes it easy to battle the next one. So it's getting onto the ladder, and then the battles naturally become easy because you've got the mons there. It's getting that first 1 or 2 that is the problem. And as I say, there are steps in place to make the upcoming, or yes, it's actually been this weekend, the Gengar 6-star battles a little bit more manageable. But yeah, I find it frustrating. I struggled. Marky, I'm guessing you in your area really struggled.
Yeah, I think I've had a lot of comments over the last couple of days about this. And I think Gigantamax, I see it very much as like an end game feature to Pokemon Go. And there's not really where else it goes from that point. It doesn't mean the game's ending, but it just means in this sort of process of the stages these Pokemon
format.
go. Yeah, it makes sense. I've got no issues and no gripes with the game doing that. I think if you just started playing the game a week ago, you'd be going WTF, I can imagine. This wouldn't be a good time if you're a newer player just trying to understand what the game's about. This would actually probably scare you away quite quickly, because I look at this a bit like when you sort of join like playing an RPG game or something, and like someone says, "Oh, come along, I haven't really been playing it long. but we can use you just to help us out. Well, it didn't really feel like you could in this sort of scenario.
You couldn't. You
So-
needed the counters, and they really needed to be powered up.
But going back to the original questions, we'll talk about it in a little bit more detail as we progress the conversation. Yeah, it was sadly another one of those events. I went, do you know what? I can't do this. Fortunately, I had something I could do in the game. It didn't steer all the focus from everything else in the game, which I think was really important, because otherwise I could imagine I wouldn't have turned the game on for the weekend. Going back to your point, Ian, and the question I asked myself was, even when Shadow Raids started and you had to do them in person, me and a couple of people tried to do them, didn't always succeed, failed more often. And Elite Raids kind of stopped us from trying that then, because we were like, well, there's no point. We didn't even have that conversation. Nothing was even attempted. There was no messages being sent, nothing. When I looked at other groups, because I do sometimes look at the bigger groups around where I live to see, because there's some active communities, and Swindon's a big area. People actually weren't bothering to try it from what I could see online. And, again, I'd need to get more close to that community to understand if it was attempted, but it was the same stuff. No point. They've seen 12 hours ahead from the other side of the world beforehand. There's no point us trying to do this because we're going to fail. But that was my experience. Didn't try it. Looked at them. They look amazing, but didn't try it. So that was a bit sad.
See, I did try it, actually. Even though we'd only got a group of 7 people, we thought, let's give it a go. Let's see how much we can achieve with 7 people. And everybody actually, with the group that was with me, had powered up their counters. They'd unlocked the max guard. They'd unlocked the moves, which, again, is a sticking point where, again, we'll talk about later, but people have gone, oh, well, Niantic didn't tell us this was coming, so why would we do that? Well, they kind of mentioned in Dynamax that these things were there. And yes, we've only had the 1 and 3 star raids, but these things have been there for people to power their mons up. As soon as I got my Hundo Charizard, that was the first thing I did, start maxing the moves at.
It's nice to have a Hundo Dynamax.
Yeah, I got a 98% Charizard as well with food. Anyway, so with 7 of us, and we figured out who was going to be the healer, who was going to use the shields and so forth, and no word of a lie, with 7 of us, we could barely get it down 20%. And yet on Reddit, people were saying, oh yeah, we managed to do it with 5-6 people. And I don't know how, but it was really tough. And so we did have a strategy, but yeah, barely got it down 20%. It was tough, but the concept is great, and I think there potentially could be hope for this feature, but it just needs to reset and start again.
Yeah, I think it's been released with not enough foresight for the players, perhaps, and this is something that we've heard, on reflection, could have been prepared for better. I do agree with you to a certain extent, Ian, about unlocking the moves, because I've done the same with some 96s and stuff. So I'll unlock the max moves on them because they're the best I've got at the moment. But as a mindset, as a player base, and I've seen it more and more now. It didn't.
We all
used to
want
be
the
case
Hundos.
back
We don't
in-
want to power up the 80%.
But back in the
mons.
day,
Yeah.
2016, 2017, people were quite happy before we even used.
Yeah, when
CP
Raids
and
first
IVs
came
and
out, we
stuff.
used what we had.
You powered up whatever, and it's like, it's actually a 43%, God knows what. But everybody these days is very focused on the IVs, and I know tons of players who are just like, if it's not 98 or a hundo, I'm not going to waste my resources, because we've got so many things that cost resources these days. Roar of Time and Spatial Rend.
And this was a costly weekend.
Very much so. The other thing, and I've seen a lot of people mention this, is the just expense of max particles. They were 800 max particles per battle if you succeeded. Thankfully, you don't get them taken away if you fail, like a raid pass with a raid. But it's still 800 particles, which is your whole daily allowance as a freebie.
Yeah, but I liken that to a raid pass is you get one a day.
But the only thing with that is to unlock the moves, and if you didn't unlock them prior, you're like, oh no, I need to unlock them or power up my moves, my max moves. This is lastminute.com
though, isn't it?
Points.
These have been available for getting on for 6 weeks. So yes, Niantic didn't say we are releasing this in a month and a half, but
the thing is that we had
you should have told us.
The Gigantamax announcement came out. I think it wouldn't. I mean, a lot of people may have overlooked it. You could say whatever, but I think it wouldn't have been amiss to say, a paragraph at the bottom about preparation. It's like, these battles are going to be
They did
really
say
tough.
that. If you remember,
No,
we
but
all
do this.
2 weeks ago.
Unlock your max moves
They
or
did
something
say
like
that these were going to be difficult battles, and we all
Yeah.
were like, yeah, they've said that before.
Difficult is a subjective thing, particularly how we read it. We're like, you could probably do this with like 6,
We
7
did think
people,
that,
like
yeah.
you said.
Yeah.
Because with raid battles, it says 20 for a legendary raid, and some of them can be soloed. So I think it could have been potentially marketed or advertised a little bit differently.
I'm not going to steer the conversation too far away from where we've got it to at the moment, but my perspective, I agree with Ian. Like, they don't need to tell you everything, However, this game, not everyone's invested in it. They just want to play it casually and give it a go.
There's that as well.
But
yeah.
They don't need to have. They're not going to read every news article that Niantic decides to release about the game. To be fair, those players like ourselves that have been doing it since week one, we understand it can be quite sporadic, the communication with the game. Game updates after the events happen, things like that. If that's how people get their updates, it's a bit poor. Now, I was interested, Ian, on this one, and Milo, because when I clicked on a Gigantamax battle, I didn't try it because there was no point. But I noticed it said on it, you need at least 10 trainers. So in the game, it's telling you need at least 10 trainers to take down this Gigantamax. Now, when I originally was really annoyed with this, I'm not annoyed with the numbers. That isn't the thing I'm annoyed with. I think I even said that when I was sort of toying with my frustrations over it, because at the end of the day, the numbers are the numbers. However the game wants to put the mechanic in, that's fine. I think for me, my biggest thing came off the back of what we've both said there. Like, I haven't got anything 4-star Dynamax. I've got a push a few of them at 3-star. So, like, I was looking and going, right, I'm going to have to bite the bullet now, because I'm not going to keep raiding Charizards and Blastoises and those Squirtles and flipping Bulbasaurs now in Dynamax battles. I have to stick with what I've got now and go, right, these are my best ones. 2 of them are 3-star, some of them are 2-star, but they're my best ones. I'm going, right, this is painful. So what I did at the weekend was I knew I couldn't do them. And even if they were there, I wasn't prepared for them. And that's my own fault for not being prepared for them. But when I started to invest it cost me 1.5 million Stardust just to get them to level 40.
I spent over 1 million dust as well
to get them to level 40. Because in my head, I was like, getting them all to level 40. And then I was like, right, and now let's start doing the moves. And like you said, you can only harvest 1,000 MP a day. So even in like 2 weeks, let's say, lead up to it, if you haven't been doing it for the 4 weeks prior to it, whatever that timeline is, you're not going to get them past level 2. You can't unlock these things because they get to 600 MP, then they get to 800 MP.
Unless you're buying the max particle
and
packs.
XL
Yeah.
candy.
Unless you're buying the max particle packs.
So however you dress it up, preparing for it to not preparing for it, you're still going to spend a lot to do it.
Yeah,
and then my biggest challenge is, as someone who I knew I wasn't going to be able to do it when it came out, so I haven't been spending my MP on substandard Pokemon. That's my biggest downfall to this. I've just sat on the 1,000 that I've got there. I haven't been able to claim my 300 for walking 2K. I've just had them sat there. And then eventually at the week, I went, I've got to bite the bullet now. So I've got rid of everything that was rubbish, kept everything that was okay, and I fully evolved them, level 40'd them, and now I'm chipping away at the MP. I want to be in a position when these do become more accessible at events where I can contribute to the team. Because, Ian, you talk about strategy. You were trying to work it out, which is what this game's all about to a lesser degree. You do have to work it out. And it sounds quite exciting, but I don't play the main series games. I just learnt what Dynamax was quite simply in the game.
That's the thing, isn't it? On Pokemon GO, we're just used to tapping a screen. We're not used to strategizing.
Yeah, it's a very different thing.
So, yeah, I think we're all level with where we've gone with the convo right now.
But I think we're at a good point with the conversation. Let's just put a pin in it, because we've already talked about how difficult and almost impossible these things were for smaller groups. Niantic did take people's feedback on board, and they did feedback, actually.
Very quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was quick.
Yeah, I mean, within 48 hours of the backlash on socials, on YouTube, and other places. So Niantic have basically fed back. So moving forward with the Gigantamax battles for Gengar, which is this weekend, they are adding 25k Stardust as a reward for each completed Gigantamax Gengar battle. And they've basically caveated that by saying, we want players to feel like they can quickly gain back the resources they invest into Dynamax and Gigantamax systems and feel like participating is more of a reward. Our intent is to help create a positive cycle when trainers participate in Gigantamax encounters, leading to more. They've also said They are going to increase the catch rate. We talked about that a second ago. We want players to feel rewarded for accomplishing such a huge feat. And right now, the catch rate didn't match the experience we wanted. We'll be increasing this for Gengar, and we will continue to monitor other Gigantamax encounters. And finally, they've said they are going to adjust the difficulty slightly, tuning Gengar to make the encounter easier compared with other Gigantamax encounters. While we want Gigantamax to be a new high bar for a meaningful challenge in Pokemon Go, we want to make sure that players have a reasonable chance to defeat Gengar. You'll still need to strategize and coordinate with your group and go in powered up to a degree, but we think this tuning will make things slightly easier to help with a range of trainers jump into Gigantamax.
I think those are good.
The main criticisms that were leveled are there. Now, how much easier these Gigantamax battles are going to be remains to be seen, because we're recording this episode on a Tuesday night. The Gigantamax Gengar doesn't arrive until Thursday, but it will be interesting to see how much more achievable these battles are going to be.
I do think it's good to see it turn around or have some change implemented that quickly, because we've talked and seen about complaints of just the whole concept in general. I personally think the concept of the battle is actually really solid, a completely different strategy to raiding, and I think it could be very, very interesting if done correctly, and it wasn't this time around. Gengar may be a very different story. Making it a little bit easier means ease of accessibility, because they want new players to come to the game. If you're telling a new player you need to max out your Wooloo and evolve it and max your max points and get it to level 40 and everything, that's quite a daunting thing to do, because it's,
Also,
300k dust.
Bear in mind, a newer, lower level trainer may not have a million dust just sitting there to throw into the 82% Squirtle that they just got from D-Max.
Exactly.
And I think, actually, I'm calling back to an episode weeks ago, but Marky made a point of you must use your max points, your free max points, use them all every day if you can.
Absolutely.
On the one stars.
Yeah.
Because then you get yourself a little base set of counters that you can then pick and choose.
And if you're not using them on battles, use them on powering stuff up.
Moves, yeah. But the max points will go to waste. You might as well use them on tier 1 or unlocking moves.
You may as well not have them if you're just sitting on them and not using them.
Yeah, exactly. The other thing is the extra dust, because a common theme was the rewards. If you looked at what you were rewarded with when you completed the Gigantamax battle versus a tier 5 raid, it's night and day. You got like one or two golden razes, a rare candy if you were lucky, and basically nothing. And it was very, very similar to the general Dynamax battles. So the rewards were minimal. Having that extra 25k dust, I think, justifies, as they say, adding the extra power-ups, etc., into the system.
And I'd be interested to see how many people were paying for the extra rewards.
I personally haven't.
I've never paid for
The
one.
entire
But
time.
again, if you'd completed the Gigantamax raids for one of the Gen 1 sort of final evolution starters, you might be inclined to, based on the fact that people were struggling to catch these things. The thing is, I think it's looking quite positive, but going back to the weekend, as Milo said, the system itself does look pretty positive. We just need to know how to utilize it properly. And there were some other good points about it, because these Gigantamax Pokemon, they are gorgeous, especially the Shinies for them. They are absolutely gorgeous.
All of Gigantamax designs are amazing, and we've seen a sneak peek at a few of them in that video trailer. We know Gigantamax Toxtricity is coming to the wild area.
Yes.
That should be, thinking forward, an incentive, everybody. There's actually one thing I will say. Preparation. Do the Dynamax Drillbur battles on that Monday
Max
event.
Monday, yes, on the 11th. Is it the 11th? 18th? No, the 18th. The start on the 11th. Yes, the 18th.
Because Toxtricity is double weak to ground.
And we do know that Max Mondays, it will be taking over every power spot.
Exactly. So do those Drillburs to get yourself some decent counters.
Even if you can just
versus
do
Toxtricity.
one, just get something.
Something is better than nothing. That's probably the way to look at it.
In terms of the bad from this event, I think we've pretty much covered that. There's mixed feedback. People saying they weren't necessarily too hard if you knew how to strategize. I would actually go out on a limb, and I genuinely believe they were too hard. When 30 people can't go in there and just muscle something down, then that's pretty difficult.
One big issue with this whole thing is how it was laid out. And we've talked about preparing and unlocking moves, etc. But the simple fact of it is, we've all been used to going into a raid and just spamming whatever happens to potentially be recommended or preparing a team. Some players are familiar with Gigantamax and Dynamax and knowing what goes on and potentially what the Max Spirit and Max Guard do. I had no idea until reading about it whenever we talked about the news. But moving forwards, players will get more accustomed to the system and what is required, and therefore it will get potentially easier to do.
Yeah, and that's why you need the players together, and why I did see some people, and I hate to be the guy because I'm not going there, but people were saying, oh, certainly in my community, make them remotable. Like, well, no, because you can't strategize. You do need to be there present to do these things.
See, that comment, and I sort of resonate with this because a lot of people already have an issue with their smaller communities, and having been in the position this weekend with these Gigantamax and say, like, we simply don't have a big enough number of people to even have a hope in hell of doing it. It would have been a really nice thing to be able to pop into one somewhere just to get it done. I know the Dynamax system is completely in person. That's absolutely fine. But the experience itself not only locked out and was very difficult for those in huge cities with good communities who struggled, and we will read about some of the stories on X and other socials very soon, but it absolutely wipes the whole concept off the plane for anybody who has a community of less than 20 people. Because there's just no point. You look at that and go, right, I am physically locked out of that concept entirely. You know, it's just unless I now physically pay money to travel somewhere.
My community is more than 20 people in the town where I live. It's not a massive town. It's 35,000 population. It's not. Well,
you face the city experience, really.
But we still struggled to get the numbers because people will. It's human nature. If something looks too tough, 99% of people are going to, yeah, screw it up, not bothered. This is the problem that we face, trying to get that motivation to get people out, because there were communities out there that had huge numbers turn up for these. I think Norwich had over 100 people turn up. Chaz Browder in Nantwich had a great show for his.
Well, of course, London had a huge turnout of 200 plus people, but that's big city game, and with an active
Nantwich isn't
player
a big
base.
city game.
No, but if you've got an active community, should I say, that's the thing. If you're nourishing and nurturing and getting everybody to participate in events, people might have the will and want to go give it a go, but you experience the other side of that, where you do have players in a decent sized community, but people weren't interested.
They weren't, because they switched off. They're like,
and you fall at that point, basically, because no matter how much you want to give it a go, there isn't the numbers to take it down.
Absolutely. That is 100% the thing. And people said, why don't they make NPCs a thing for these smaller communities? I don't necessarily know how that would work.
You know, without sounding like a broken record with this, the game's all about inclusivity. I get that. It's fine. However, the game should mean if you do get the people together, then you should be able to achieve it in a way that allows you to do it. You know, we struggle with elite raids. Elite raids were just an awful idea, and the reward wasn't great. You know, there were new Pokemon which are now going to normal raid rotations. You know, I think the problem with Gigantamax is it doesn't really offer you anything in the game until you can put a Gigantamax into a raid lobby and take down a level 5 legendary, which will never happen. Then there's no play on these things. I agree with what you're both saying. They're like the shiny stickers in your sticker book. They look lovely, but in essence, they don't do anything. They just look nice.
They are much more powerful. That's the only thing. It's like a mega or a legendary Pokemon.
It's a whole new mechanic, isn't it? So you are literally starting again.
They are better, but it's that thing of what's the trade-off.
Yeah.
And I get what you mean, Mark. It's the trade-off at the moment isn't really there.
No, I mean, I think go back to that, exactly that point there. It's like Pokemon Go is just about getting out and having some exercise for most people. That's strip it back to the basics. That's what Pokemon Go is about. And if you can still go out and hunt wild Pokemon, play events which are inclusive, this might not bother a lot of people. I did write on here, they are just starters. They are just general.
They are, yeah. And they were tough. So just imagine if we get legendaries.
I'm just very disappointed with the way that they release these now. These would have been brilliant at a Go Fest.
I think this is where they'll come into their own. I genuinely think live events are going to be where...
That's where having Toxtricity Gigantamax release at
Wild Area,
is really a good idea. But I don't know if you guys saw this. Some people were saying 3 different Gigantamax covering 2 days was too much.
Yes, that's been a popular comment actually on socials.
Yeah. There were lots of people who missed out on either one or two or all three.
I mean, a
as
couple
we
of
have.
people in my area actually, and are saying that because there were all three, and it was for 2 solid days, it would have been much better to make them like an X raid or make them like an Elite raid and say, right, they're here, you need to battle them at this time, because then it's either
like
take it or leave it.
Venusaur's this time, Charizard's this time, Blastoise this time slot.
Yeah,
you've got that slot, but it's easy to get people interested. And you say, "Well, go to it; it's there." Yeah, absolutely, cool. So one thing we're going to start trying and just see how this game's tracks, just to all our amazing Discord members that have access as part of our Patreon. We have opened this up to the floor, and that's everybody who is subscribed to our Patreon gets access to the Discord as one of the perks. And I asked them, in 3 words, how would you describe Gigantamax as we are today? And we've had a couple of people jump in, which is always quite nice. Spinziana has put massive disappointment. Let's see what you've done there.
Nice.
Yeah, nice one, Chris. Yeah, I like that.
And Del Hazard X has put gigantic time waster.
Yeah, there we go.
So first couple in there. So yeah, we'll try that We'll try that over the next few weeks. See if we can get that little interaction feature going. But yeah,
no, I like that. That's good.
It.
But we did post at the weekend on the Incensed X account. We basically said, can we talk about Gigantamax battles? We've heard a lot of differing opinions and would love to hear yours. Sound off below. As always, be respectful, be polite, and be honest. So we did get a few people feeding back, didn't we, boys?
Yes, a pretty good response.
I'll start with the first comment, and we've got Raymond Schneiders, who said, didn't love it, but didn't hate it either. We managed to organise a nice group and did about 10 Gmax battles with around 20 to 30 accounts, which worked like a charm because a lot of us had powered up and evolved our Dynamax starters, so they'd prepared. We figured out the mechanics to use Max Guard and Max Spirit and managed to make it work. Why Niantic didn't just communicate what was needed in preparation is beyond me. They never do. Having said that, Gmax battles are here way too soon and are way too difficult for a regular or casual player who cannot afford to find at least 20 other players to tackle these without having to dedicate major resources in the too few Dynamax mons that are available to use. And I think that nails it, actually. I genuinely think that covers
Definitely
a lot of...
regarding the players, casual players. And we know that Niantic and Pokemon GO like to try and get new players in, or like casual players always seem to have the best RNG somehow. They would struggle or just be completely locked out of this feature. So that's definitely true. There are some good tales from the weekend experience. Lifeline Leo has commented on this one saying, overall, it was fun. Lucky enough to be able to find a big group near me, but the best part was doing a Venusaur with 23 people. We lost the first time, adjusted, and then we were able to take it down. That was pretty rewarding. And that kind of goes alongside their motive of saying you get big rewards, but maybe the feeling of completing it was more rewarding than what you actually get.
I think so. As I say, these are meant to be difficult battles. We're under no illusions that they are difficult, but they're meant to be difficult.
They are, and I think I'm going to jump into someone who probably feels the pain that a lot of people do. I think, again, I'm sounding like a broken record here, these events, unfortunately, will not cater for people that don't have the numbers around and don't have people around them, and that is unfortunately the way it is. But JB probably plays a game like most of us do, myself included.
Gold tier patron member.
Frustrated and disappointed. Frustrated as a player who enjoys doing Pokemon Go alone, yet another feature that I can't enjoy and participate in. In brackets, party play, elite raids. We've mentioned those in the past. Disappointed as Niantic's endgame seems to be creating a player base whose players are part of an active group with time and money at hand. FCK me and my play style, right? Feels like being pushed out of an exclusive club, really. And listen, I'm a firm believer, but if you go into, I'm going to use a nightclub reference here. If you go into a nightclub, you see a curtained area and it's tucked away in the corner and no one's making a big thing about it, you kind of respect that and go, hey, that's not for me. That's something there. Love it. But when you make it big, spangly gold, have arrows pointing at all, people at the front, and they make a big song and dance about it to try and bring its attention to everyone.
Yeah.
But you can't get through it. That adds more annoyance and
Yeah,
frustration.
it
And,
does.
and I think Gigantamax was always going to have a big fanfare attached to it. And I think that's probably not helped with this.
No, I do agree, Mark. But Lucy Davis, regular contributor to the podcast, said, success for me. We had 2 groups in Pool Park, and some battled while others used Max Guard and Max Spirit, and others were using G-Max Pokemon, so it actually wasn't too difficult for us. And she got 4 G-Max Pokemon, of which one was a shiny Venusaur.
Nice.
And I like the Venusaur one. For some reason, the shiny Venusaur looks really sick as a Gigantamax.
But I'll tell you what,
Good.
My heart goes out to that. Oh, I've said it before, back in the old days, the shiny G-Max Charizard.
It's fabulous.
Yeah.
It's like the cards, isn't it? It's like the TCG cards,
yeah.
that black body over the little spot. It's a beautiful design.
No, 100% right. They look absolutely incredible as designs. Here we've got Space Pokemon Devon, who's written, we love Gigantamax Pokemon. I think a lot of us, all of us do.
I think so.
But we hate how it's implemented right now. We literally just don't have enough people to even beat them. The best we could do was get a Gigantamax Charizard down to half HP. Unless something changes, we can't beat Gigantamax battles at all. And I'm assuming we, as in like, getting a Charizard down to halfway must mean they either had a good turnout of people or maybe a smaller group of people who are actually prepared.
I would say they must have had 14 or 15 people.
I've got one that I like here from Thomas at 96_Tom L. We talk about how they've been introduced and that. So 3 points. 1, they're too difficult for standard and even hardcore players to participate in. 2, instead of the Kanto starters, they should have run Pikachu, Eevee and Meowth as they're easier and none of us would be complaining at all. And 3, the cap on do the G-Max raid is way too low, in my opinion.
And then from a slightly different perspective, Kevin Bailman's Shrike77 said, I absolutely love them. Finding people is not a problem. I live in a small city of about 50,000 inhabitants. But finding people who want to grind Giga battles or Giga battles and therefore buying particles is more of a problem.
Yes. That's the other thing people said is about the monetary aspect of it is if you want to do more than one or even get one of each in the decks, you need to buy the max particles.
You do, but I really, again, refer back, and I know you're going to shoot me down, but I refer back to you buy raid passes. Nobody kicks off about buying raid passes.
I'm going to agree with you on that one, because I would happily, if I had the opportunity, I would put some Pokecoins into max particles.
Yeah, and max particle packs are cheaper than raid passes.
Yeah, it will give you more opportunity. Jasmine has written in saying, didn't do them. I was going to go out on Saturday, but location wasn't clear, and only being 15 people, I didn't think it was worth it. Sunday, there was an attempt in my community's WhatsApp chat to get people into our big park, but no one was keen, so a bust. I think that resonates with what we said right at the beginning, is certainly with how people viewed day one or perhaps day one for APAC. You look at the outcome of that battle scenario and you think, is there any point all of us dedicating our time when we're going to achieve nothing? Because it is real time and money people are using.
Absolutely.
I think I feel like this is someone's copied and pasted what I put on social media over the weekend. Joey Mack 1111. I'm a rural solo player. Never had a chance. Was in the nearest town and didn't see anyone in any lobbies. If you've got no community, you will have no chance.
Yeah,
but I knew this would be the way, so I took it as a weekend off, which was also nice. I think before we move on to the last, I think this is the problem as well. They're trying to appeal to new players, but they're also going to turn a lot of players off with this. So it's trying to get that sweet. Yeah.
Let's just hope the balance is better this weekend. But the last one I'm going to bring up from this, because there's so many and we can't get to them all, unfortunately, so this would end up being like a 3-hour show. Chicken Chaser 89, again, regular contributor, says, main complaints, and this resonates, so you're all going to agree with this, I'm sure. Main complaints are that they take too many people. It's too costly to power up Charizard, Blastoise, and Venusaur, only to be able to catch a better Charizard, Blastoise, and Venusaur. Also, 10 Premier Balls is too little for the difficulty and the time invested to do these is put raids, battles.
That's true, and a lot of people made a comment of that, is we have been playing this game for however long. We've caught the original Charizards, and then we've got the Megas and everything. We've powered those up. Now we have a completely new thing with Dynamax.
And now we
and
want
then you have to use those
Gigantamax.
Dynamax and power them up, and then you have to get Gigantamax and everything. at least this, I think, is the final stage, because the other mechanics that are in Pokemon in general aren't like this, really, unless they do terrestrialization.
That will come, but I think we're a couple of years away from that.
Definitely. The final one I'm going to pick is somebody who actually joined the London Central group. So Pamela has written in, did 6 today with the Central London group. There were, give or take, 200 people. So lobbies were full. First was difficult, and it gradually got easier as we started catching and using Gigantamax in battle. That makes sense. Not sure what other use they'll have. I'm in the suburbs, so couldn't have done it without joining a large meeting. Yeah, so that's just very, very truthful, really, with that.
Boss Dokins has put, I like that, Boss Dokins, new contributor there, I like that. Main overwhelming problem is, of course, being local only. Silly, spiteful decision. The battles seem okay. The Dynamaxing is still incredibly tedious. So many animations to watch, but it was hard to tell whether the attack had powered up or not, as there was no loading animation for it anymore. Charizard was saying tried the healing move, but it didn't do anything at all, so not sure what the point of those is. Rewards are nonsense. Rare XL was okay. One is petty though, but overall should be way more for the effort and expense required. Obviously, there's been an update since this has been constantly, since this was contributed. Instant redundancy of Dynamax is a weird idea. So yeah, it's almost like Dynamax hasn't even got going yet. They're straight to Dynamax, which is also an interesting point, actually. Dynamax, they've already released about 8 of them, haven't they?
Yeah,
now they're already...
Gigantamax, even better.
Now the Gigantamax, which is strange, but then finish it off. But many players will have to build their Dynamax Pokemon to be able to beat Gigantamax, which is obviously what we've been speaking about. Not necessarily bad, but if they could communicate it better, that would help. Currently, it's just an insulting middle finger to the time and money players have put into their collections, and not how the MSG works, or how the message works, I guess that means. But yeah, I mean, listen, all those are things we've spoken about.
I was going to say, they're not putting MSG in the Pokemon, are they?
Who knows? Maybe that's a new feature they haven't communicated yet. That we might...
Have you got a Gigantamax Charizard?
I just clicked on it literally then when I went off it.
I think this is the first time in like a year that one of us has actually had a shiny.
No, but
I never open the game while I'm talking.
No, that's what I mean. I was looking at my Dynamax as a reference point as we were looking at it then, and then literally that was just by me. And I don't like you don't play it at all. And it's a Halloween one. But anyway,
for anyone that's not watching, that's listening, Mo, what happened?
I just caught a shiny Witch Hat Pikachu, which is my first one ever.
So nice, smashing,
nice.
Which is smash. It's nice to be lucky, isn't it? And it's no, it's not. Anyway,
it's a 1-star. Yeah,
it's a 0-star, in fact. So yeah,
beautiful.
Nearly.
But I think that's enough talk about Gigantamax, don't you?
Yes.
I feel like we've picked the bones dry.
Well, we have, but we've got 2 WhatsApp messages about Gigantamax.
Oh.
Should we have a listen? So we've had 2 fairly regular WhatsApp message leavers leave us their thoughts on what happened at the weekend. So first up, Oscar's been on.
Hello, Incense Podcast. It's Niantic. I just wanted to share my thoughts on the G-Max Ray battles. They were too hard. I mean, 26 of us still struggled. That's ridiculous. You shouldn't have that number and still struggle with a raid for what is effectively an oversized Charizard, Venusaur, or Blastoise. I mean, for heaven's sake, you can catch these things in the wild. And outside of Dynamax and Gigantamax in the future, they mean nothing. It's just an extra token. I mean, I've seen people today in my community having to spend millions of dust to get some decent Pokemon to be able to defeat these things.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just not worth the resources. And when I finally did one today, we couldn't catch it.
Oh.
I couldn't catch it. I got 10 excellence, and it didn't stay in the ball once.
Jeez.
Crazy.
That's
Just
not
kept
right.
jumping and jumping and jumping. I mean, if you can have the process to acquire it so hard, you have to make the catching easier, or at least have the amount of balls that you have for a legendary raid, or have best friend bonuses.
Yeah, because none of the bonuses were stacked.
Faster completion bonuses for balls.
Yeah.
I mean, it is simply ridiculous. I mean, this feature, I've got one which is more than many can say. I mean,
all of us.
Yeah.
in villages, if you're one person, you've got no chance. Even if you had the best Dynamax Pokemon, you have no chance. And that's ridiculous. There's a difference between exclusivity and exclusion. And that's what Niantic has done. They've excluded people from this new and exciting feature. I mean, I have understood that what they're trying to get out, they're trying to get people out. But there's a difference between getting people out, which it did get people out, but it also sent people home. On the first day, 14 of us rocked up. Some people as far away as like 20, 30 miles had come to the park to meet up. And they were disappointed because we couldn't do it with 14 people. Now, that's a lower number than what we did it with. But, I mean, you should still be able to beat it with 14 people. I mean, there is no boss that we've had before, even like Mega Rayquaza. It only takes like 4 people. Having to have 26 people, which is what I've had to add, minimum to defeat a boss, and 40 people failing, it's ridiculous. I mean, I'd love to hear your thoughts.
You have to.
The podcast. But also, I believe that this is an ill omen for the future of Pokemon Go, if this is what they're going to do with their new feature of Gigantamax, because it's just not viable. Nobody will be able to do it. And, I mean, people went home after 2 G-Max raids anyway, because they didn't have enough particles to do so. Anyway, sorry for this rant, but I hope it's of some use on the podcast. Now, I have a question of the week. If you were able to do a G-Max raid and actually be able to catch the thing, what was your highest IV? And I say you should do a poll, Masterful 27, on the name of that Pokemon. Anyway, signing off. Goodbye. See ya.
I'm going to jump straight in there. I love Oscar because
Quality.
He articulates things very well.
The brilliant quote.
It's so easy to come on and just complain about it. He does make some really good points there. Like, you shouldn't, if you've got people, and again, I don't want to focus on the numbers of people because that's an easy thing to. It's meant to be hard. We get all that, right? But you can't herd cats. Like, if you're trying to herd 20 to 30 people into a park and people are travelling from different directions to get there, you know, this brings back memories when the legendary birds first dropped into the game. So remember when Articuno Zapdos...
You actually got 20 plus people wanting to do those.
You could easily sort it out and get down there. And you got like 8 balls to catch it. A lot of them ran away, you know. It was frustrating, but you wanted to keep playing.
We used to have multiple lobbies here. We used to say there was that many people wanting to do them. They were like, okay, 15, 16 people go and do it that one, then that group, then that group. So that the numbers were... It seems to be a thing since the pandemic that people just don't go out, and the game still hasn't recovered to a greater degree.
I'd agree. I think that's the footnote in it, really, Ian. I think that's absolutely correct. I remember, someone in Facebook group had just gone, oh my goodness, birds have appeared. And we were like, right, messaging, we'll be there in an hour. Do you know what I mean? We're like, everyone's getting over there. And it was like, and there's a raid train. Problem is with these, you can't raid train these. That's the problem
you
as well.
You kind of can if you buy in the particle
if you want to spend money on it. Yeah.
But again, that's the same as raid passes again.
Ian, you're absolutely right. Absolutely right.
And people are complaining about buying the packs, but these Gigantamax Dynamax battles, if you look at it as a raid, then buy the passes, buy the packs. It's the same thing. You're going to buy raid passes. Nobody's going to complain about buying the remote raid passes. So I think
there's a little bit of resentment with that though, because legendary raids or raid bosses, you can use them in so many aspects of the game, be it the Baguette League or raids themselves.
These
or Team
only work
Rocket
within
or whatever.
that mechanic.
They're so exclusive now in what they're usable in. It's a little bit of a sting, really, but there's a difference between exclusive and excluding. Was a fantastic quote from that whole message, and thank you for sending that in. But it makes a lot of very good points, and the problem with something that happens like this, like a lot of people will view Gigantamax now as just that's an opportunity blown negative, not going to do it. You will struggle, even with the makeup of whatever they've changed with Gengar. Moving forwards, you will struggle potentially to get even more people to come out and do Gigantamax because of how negative this one has been.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, exactly. And it's going to be difficult to win people's trust back.
Yeah. But boys, we've got one more. Saul's been on.
Boys, it's good to hear your podcast as always. I was literally just messaging in because as I was listening to the podcast that you said about birthdays in October, and mine was on the 19th.
Happy birthday.
With the 420 Pokemon, the 420 hundo, but I didn't get
Happy
one,
birthday.
obviously. Just birthday luck. It's never good every year. Just another year closer to death.
Oh, God.
But yeah, no, I hope everything went well with your Yamask days and the Go Max, Dynamax, Gigantamax battles, the Charizard, Venusaur and Blastoise. I wanted to say I got out with my Sleepy Snorlax's campfire community. We have 330 people in there now, which is unreal, and we're getting so close to community ambassador. I'm like on the final stage.
Good stuff.
Sent all in all the photos, and now
Well
they've got to do a background check on me and
Good luck with that.
and our group, and just in case TOS is comes up. But what I was going to ask, how many Gigantamax battles did all of you get to do? Did you get to do any, or was there a big enough community around all of you? I'm more than certain that Masterful wouldn't have got any done, considering he's got a null community around him. but I hope you all did get some done. Well, again, like I say, because we had such a community out, we had 60 people at one point in my group, and we ended up getting 4 or 5 done on the first day, and then 3 to 5 done on the second day, and a whole nother campfire community joined ours, which was great.
Oh, wow.
We got more followers. It was just a great day in general. Got loads of photos, met loads of people. A load of people got shinies. It felt like it was a boosted shiny too.
People were saying that.
We found out
Good.
if you use Max Spirit and the defense one,
Max
Defense or whatever it is, they are pretty useful. So if you are going to do it in the future, like the Gengar ones on the weekend, on this Saturday coming, then you'll need Max Spirit and Max Defense, just for a heads up. But again, I hope everything's going well. I hope you boys are all good. It's nice to hear that podcast every week. And yeah, I'll talk soon.
That is when it works, isn't it? When you hear that, it's like buzzing, new feature, had a great time, learned during it, combined communities, and have come together and now have probably made new friends and contacts, and have got one better community now combined, even better than what it already is. I think that, I think Sol was raided with Lucy actually.
They were letting him
down there.
Same area.
It's a beautiful thing when you hear it like that. So, no, well done, mate. But you're right, I didn't do any. So, bingo on that one.
You can say the same to Oscar as well. None of us did any,
which is unusual.
So you had a better experience than us. Yeah.
And it wasn't for lack of trying.
I didn't try.
In that case, you did better than us. But we did have a lot more responses. We even had stuff through our Discord and everything. So regarding Gigantamax and us asking for your experience and feedback, etc., thank you very much, everybody who's engaged with us over socials. And we've taken the time to read it, and that sort of...
And
because
we've used it in other
experience.
ways.
Well, yeah, we've had no experience ourselves, really. So we're kind of relying on you guys to say what was the good and the bad of actually playing what's going on. But boys, shall we put the Gigantamax thing to bed and open up our favourite section of the show? Oh, no, wait, we can't do that. There's a microscopic bit of news.
It is. It's the news.
Yeah, big bit of news actually to share with you all. We've got the Pokecoin Bounty part 3, or the 3rd edition of it. Copy and paste.
And now moving on to hashtag Shinies of the Week.
Shinies of the week.
Well, I'm going to jump straight on to good old-fashioned X. X marks the spot. Gabriella, that's that Gabriella B, 1982, has said, I say today was pretty successful. Hashtag Pokemon GO, hashtag Shinies of the Week. Yes, this was in a day. Shiny Lechonk, Shiny Wooloo.
Oh my God.
Spooky.
Shiny Rowlet with a costume. Shiny Pumpkaboo with a costume. Pancham Shiny.
Oh my God.
2 Shiny Zaruas. Looks like a 20 check between the 2 of them. So that's pretty quick. Shiny Darkrai. And a shiny costume Vulpix. 9 shinies.
Wow.
That's a pull.
Gabriel, all I can say is you must have more time in your hand than Whitfield.
Yes.
All better RNG. Congratulations.
Milo.
I'm going to dive onto our Patreon exclusive Discord here, and Spindiana has got something absolutely amazing. A mere 15 Ultra Balls and Cord. Congratulations, Spindiana, on the Shiny Galarian Moltres.
Nice. GG's, Chris. Wow.
And that
amazing.
orange shiny with the pumpkins in the background actually looks sensational.
That is awesome. And up next, we've got Lifelang Leo, who just 1 day ago posted this at Incense Podcast. I like you added us. That makes it so much easier to find, because sometimes hashtag Santa Week doesn't always necessarily bring them up. The apps will do. Got a shiny Charizard. Re-rolled it, and it went lucky. Added the megas and powered it up right away, and it is a Shiny G Max. Look at that bad boy.
Shine-Gamax.
Shine-Gamax Charizard.
Oh.
Look at
That's insane.
that beauty. And it's not bad.
That's
not
fabulous.
bad stats, actually.
That's all right. I love how it still gives you the mega symbols next to it as well.
Well, we've got one here for Cameron at Renowned Cloud 4. Like that. I think you're a first-time person as well on this, which is always welcome. Shiny Gengar, IVs are okay. Hashtag Shinies of the Week. Yeah, Shiny Costume Gengar. Yeah, it's not even a middle finger. It's an 11, 12, 11. But yeah, well done.
I'm going to jump once again into Discord. And Walty Woozle had a very, very successful trip to the shops. I'm just going to say that. So, very interesting walk to the shop this afternoon. My second shiny Zorua, yay.
Everybody's
a
getting
hundo
them.
hatted. Yeah, everyone's getting them in. It's just you.
Just me.
Oh,
What did I do wrong? Give me a shiny
Too
Zorua.
positive about Gmax.
Compliment to Gmax. So, also a hundo hatted Gengar from the gym. So, that's this year's costume Gengar. Very nice. And then, oh my, hashtag Shinies of the Week. I only wanted some mushrooms.
Should have gone to Mark's Garden.
They got the shiny Galarian Zapdos on their daily incense on that walk.
Wow.
So that's a shiny Zorua, hundo Gengar from a raid nearby, and a shiny Galarian bird just to boot.
Wow, that is a definite
Multi-Woozle.
W, yeah.
Congrats.
Yeah,
Multi-Woozle W.
winning.
Yeah,
Yes.
That's amazing. I mean, where do we go from that? I mean, that's the win of the day. We're going to go to this one, though. Lee Bancroft at Incense Podcast. After not much luck in the first 2 days of the Halloween event, I managed to snag this little beauty from the timed research. Hashtag Shiners of the Week. And Lee got, it's only the Hundo Morpeko.
Nice. We're very lucky for the
832
task.
CP Hundo Morpeko. Look at that bad boy. Gorgeous.
Jealous.
Yeah, gorgeous.
Jealous of that. Congrats, Lee.
Well done, Lee. Well done. You deserve that.
Fabulous. And there were lots of other amazing
so
catches
many
as well.
today.
Really loads. People having some good fortune through part 1 and part 2 of the Halloween event. So congrats, everyone. Thank you. And don't forget, hashtag Shinies of the Week. Send them in. Keep sending them, people. But have we got the stopwatch ready? Because, Ian, a certain monkey Pokemon is having a community day very soon.
Yes, it is. On Sunday, November the 10th, Whitfield and myself will be in Köln, Germany for this year's final Community Day of the year. Yes, Mankey will be the Community Day Mon, and it will run between 2 and 5 p.m. local time. Evolving Mankey or Primeape during the event or up to 5 hours afterwards to get a Primeape or Annihilate that knows the Charge Attack Rage Fist. There will be a $1 Community Day special research available in the store, which you can buy or gift to great friends or hire. And the bonus for this one will be a limited time evolution requirement. You can evolve your Primeape into an Annihilate after catching 20 fighting type Pokemon with Primeape as your buddy. 3 times catch XP for this one, 2 times candy for catching Pokemon. Double chance for trainers level 31 and above to receive a Candy XL from catching Pokemon. Lure modules or Incense excluding Daily Adventure when activated will last for 3 hours. Taking a few snapshots during Community Day will give you a surprise. We know that's going to be 5, and there will be 1 additional special trade for a maximum of 2 for the day, and those trades will cost 50% less Stardust. After it's done, you won't really want to be doing the bonus battle raids, but they will be running until 10 p.m, but Whitfield will argue 9 p.m, and that is Mankey Community Day, the final community day of 2024.
Bingo bongo.
We'll go out with a rage fist.
It's not really the last one, is it? It's the last new one. Of course, we've got the
It's the
recap
last
at the end
solo.
of the year, yeah.
Yeah, it's the last solo one, and I'm looking forward to a
Raging
fun
fist.
day, a raging fist in Cole. But we got there in the end. However, something that a raging fist might knock over.
I can confirm to you that Pole beats Raging Fist. That's
Well,
the
some people
future.
like a raging fist.
They do, and some people like a pole. It depends what you prefer, doesn't it?
It does.
Steady on,
Each to their own,
gentlemen.
yes.
Each
Steady
their own.
on.
Oh, Milo, you are the one. Anyway, so the poll we put out was, if you had to be transformed into something or someone for Halloween, but then it stuck with you for the next 12 months, which of these would you choose? But obviously, before we go into the results, we've got some comments.
Nice.
Thank you for that one. I am Prius. I am Prius. As put replying to Insa's podcast. One choice for Grim Reaper. A little GIF.
Of course, Francesca would pick Milo's answer.
There's always a GIF as well. Lucy Davis put Grim Reaper because no one would give you any stick.
Yep.
Very
Or
good.
pole.
Any pole. It's chicken. I love it. Sue Hermiston just put, I'd pick Elvira Vampira. She looks great in black. Is perfectly manicured and has a smoking bard. Barside
We
2
could do
has
that, though,
put...
could we?
No. Barside 2 has put a little GIF. Oh, another GIF. Well, that's a first. With selfie, and he's got a picture of the Grim Reaper in some grey blowing wind next to a tree. Yeah, I don't think anyone wants to get in that picture. Jack Lazel has put a GIF of someone with a Grim Reaper stick. Is that the It's not the mask. You might be king or a little street sweep.
Sooner or later, you dance with a Reaper.
The Reaper. Oh, what's that from,
Bill
Ian?
and Ted.
Oh, it's Bill and Ted. Jesus. Love that. And then Mark, okay, everyone. Mark Bailey's put no one messes with death. Okay, a little gif of the Grim Reaper. Right.
Yeah, but if you've seen Bill and Ted, you know that death can quite easily be Melvined and escaped from.
They haven't thought about that, though, have they, Ian?
Whitfield
I
hasn't. That
wasn't
could
on
be
the
painful.
poll.
Well, 34 people got on the poll tonight. And in third place, with 18% of the vote, it's the Chucky doll, a.k.a. Ian Chucky Fool. In second place, with 26% of the vote, it's Billy the Puppet from Saw. And in first place, with 56%, and very, very clearly the
More
W tonight.
mainstream, wasn't it? Death was, I think.
Yeah, the Grim Reaper, Milo, with 56%.
Didn't specify Grim Reaper from Family Guy.
No.
You still
that
have won
might
with
cost
that.
it you.
Yeah. I'll take the dub.
Will you, Milo? Funny that. Yeah, but there we go. That is the result
It
of
has
the
been a while
poll.
since he won the poll, though, Mark.
Yes, it has been. He deserves it.
He does.
It did, indeed. We swapped roles, Marky. You're now going to be the game lord and
With
the
poll lord.
poll
You're
lord.
the poll lord. Well done, Milo.
That's
Look
a
after that
shockingly
title.
Awful.
Look
I will
after
keep
that.
the poll safe and secure.
Nicely waxed.
With your raging fist.
Somewhere the sun don't shine.
Milo.
I think it's a very right time to end and wrap up 195 peeps. So we hope you've enjoyed this Gigantamax deep dive and other bits dotted around that discussion on this week's episode. If you did enjoy, don't hesitate to drop a 5-star review or leave us a written review if you can do. That would greatly helps us and the podcast. And of course, don't miss a download. Hit the follow or plus or subscribe button because you will never miss another download when it comes on a Sunday, and we never miss a week, peeps.
Nice.
No, we don't.
And we certainly don't plan on doing so in the future.
We do not.
And we always say, get involved with our social media bits and pieces, whether it's through X, Instagram, or through our Patreon, Discord, Campfire. Find all of our socials on our link tree. They are linked in the episode footnotes. We'd love to hear from you. Get involved with hashtag Shinies of the Week or our community discussions. We love to hear your voices. Send us a WhatsApp message. to the number that is listed at the beginning of the show, because I can't remember it now.
+44 759 269 5696.
That's it. That's a saving my bacon. But we can't end an episode of this podcast without giving a wonderful thank you to every single person on the Patreon. Be it the bronze, the silver, or the gold tiers. You are all smashing people who help keep this podcast chugging along and being
Off-life support.
Off-life support. A product that we can be very proud of and put a lot of time and effort into making it as crafted
I
as
think
it can
I'm
be.
stealing
So you
this from a
guys get
different
something
podcast, but
good.
keeps the virtual lights on.
Or physical lights, depending on
Or physical, depending on where you...
depending on what you stand with. But that's everybody on the bronze and silver, as we've mentioned, and a special thanks to all of the gold tier members.
What tier?
Gold! That's going to be more authentic with how bad my voice is.
Oh,
at the
man, I'm
moment.
surprised you can do it. Well done.
Gold! Who are the following: JB, Clifford Murd, Kerry and Zachary, Barside 2, Mandy Croft, Mr. Mossam, and finally Dean DHL as well. So thank you so much to all of you top tier peeps. If you're interested in seeing what goes down on the Patreon, tiers start at bronze from £1.50 and they go right up to gold at, what was it, 25 quid. But the 25 quid gets you access to the live recording sessions every single week of this podcast being in existence on the planet of Earth. You can tune in, get involved with the chat as we record these shows, and we get a lot of hilarity from the gold tier, which we always very much appreciate.
But also remember, if you miss a live recording, you will have the replay as well for a gold, and you also get
True.
the replay a week later if you're a silver.
That's the raw replay, we might add, with
Everything
no editing.
in.
But the final thank yous have to go to our dual admin team, who, in the face of everything, we are very much... I mean, we had the Oompa Loompa reference floating around now, but we are the, we are the Willy Wonka.
They are
we
our
are
Oompa
the Willy Wonka, who are the face and the show of this podcast, but they are very much the team of Oompa Loompas behind us who actually do things. So, Sue, Hermes Ninja, and Francesco, I am Pyrrhus. Thank you so much to both of you for all the bits and pieces you do to help keep this show
Oompa
the way
Loompa,
it is.
doobie-doo.
Doobly-doo.
I made it lumpa lumpa.
I like that we all three of us went to the OG movie, the original.
Yes, Gene Wilder,
Not to
the original's
not
best.
to the Tim Burton one.
Yeah, or the Strictly Come Dancing version as
The
well.
Timothy
Yeah,
Chalamet version.
yeah. Oh my goodness me! But yes, that is gonna do all the thanks and everything. We hope to see you all for 196 as episode 200 approaches
But
fast.
boys, I've got some good news.
What?
Yes, Tuesday, the 5th of November, we have got Surskit Spotlight Hour
Wow!
with 2 times transfer candy. So transfer those Zaruas. Do it.
I'm going to, because none of them are shiny.
Oh, Ian.
Cry, sad face.
Umpa lumpa dilly dee.
Francesca said that we look more like Oompa Loompas.
Or maybe Ian because he's short.
Oh, Ian.
With me and Richard Hammond.
But on that, what the ducklet thing I made for it? On that Night of the Realm of Comedy bombshell for Surskit. Ian's looking blankly, but that's nothing
I'm looking
new.
for the awkward cricket.
That's all right. I could have put it in anyway. Anyway, with that, smashing news approaching next Tuesday. We hope to catch you all for the next one. See you later, boys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.